Hi guys, welcome to this video from my side. And a lot of you have been asking me this question about how should we manage a profile when we are talking about preparing for a management entrance exam. And I can come to you when I come to you in this video. I'm trying to bring in my experience of having trained thousands and lakhs of students, as well as taken interviews at top B schools, being on the other side as an interviewer over the last 15-20 years, and having seen various profiles. और कुछ cases में profile देख के, as an interviewer I'm talking, profile देख के लगता है कि बॉस इस बच्चे को लेना चाहिए मुझे. As far as he knew the reinforcement of the profile that he has written, so you get that feeling as an interviewer, and so you're already predisposed to कि this student I want to take once you read what's on the profile. So the question that of course arises from a lot of you is what should we do? How should we do it? And I see that a lot of most people across my 15-20 years of experience, 25 plus years experience now, I've seen that most people actually do very haphazard things for profile development. So this video will help you understand your options, and will also help you try to plan a very strong, structured mechanism or a process that will help you build your profile, that will give you that punch when you go into the interview. So, what are your options when you're trying to build your profile? What are the different structures under which you can work on? So, let's look at these four options that I talk about when you're talking about your profile. And the four options are: so now let's take a look at the first one of them. The first one of them is specifically related to if you are in college, if you're still in college, still doing your graduation, or maybe some of you might have passed your graduation and still doing something in post graduation, so post graduation course or something like that. So the first option you have is to actually take a leap in your college percentages. And with whatever semesters you are, you might be in the third semester, you might be in the fourth or the fifth semester of a 6 semester program, or of an 8 semester program. So whatever semester you're left with, if you have left with 3 semesters or 5 semesters, or even 1 or 2 semesters, your target should be to take a vertical jump in your score. So it does not mean that you're getting a 6.8 GPA, so next semester you get a 6.9 or a 7.1. You have to take a vertical leap in your GPA. You have to go straight from 6.8 to 8.2, that kind of jump. And there are ways to do it. Maybe I'll bring that in a different course, because when I talk about this, a lot of people look at me incredulously and say that ऐसा हो सकता है क्या? तो होता है ऐसा. It happens all the time. I've seen so many stories of people जहाँ पे first 3 trimesters में they got a 6.7, 6.8, 6.9, and then fourth trimester onwards or fourth semester onwards, they're straight away 8 pointers or 9 pointers straight away. So we'll talk about this aspect, how to do it in a different thing. But this is one of the best ways to manage profile, because when a profile like this comes to me as an interviewer, any interviewer for that matter, when a profile like this is presented to an interviewer, he will typically immediately see that okay, this guy seems to have turned a corner, because the message you are sending across with a 6.8, 6.9 and 6.7, followed by a 8.2, 8.4 and 8.7, the message you're sending across to the interviewer without even speaking a single word is, look boss, I've changed, I'm not the same person. So you look at who I was in my first 3 semesters, and now look at what I am in the next 3 semesters. So there has to be a vertical leap. As I told you, a small jump, a 6.9 to a 7.1 does not convey this, but a 6.9 to an 8.2 definitely conveys this. Or if you're in a college with percentages, you are at 72%, and suddenly you start getting 83, 84%. There is definitely, you don't need to speak about it. The interviewer realizes there's a corner that you have turned. It can't happen. You don't need to speak much. The profile will do the job for you before you enter the interview room. The second point that I'd put up on the list of four options that you've got to actually improve your profile. The second big point, and this actually is the biggest point that I can actually think of, I probably think of, is the point where we are talking about building a passion or two, maybe one passion or two passions. And this is something which I always explain to students, that a lot of people keep coming to me कि मैंने ये कोर्स कर लिया, एक पाइथन में कोर्स कर लिया, एक इंडियन इकोनॉमिक्स का कोर्स कर लिया, और इंडियन इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम पे कोर्स कर लिया, या कुछ इधर से कर लिया, रैंडम haphazard things from here and there, and you're trying to create a ragtag profile to show that you are actually involved in something, in doing something good through your process of during your process of preparation, or during your process of the journey just before the B school. But if you are, as I said, if it's ragtag and haphazard, it does not create the impact. So rather than that, what you should try to do is you should actually try to build a passion into some subject, at least one subject, or maybe one major subject and one minor subject. Build a passion around it. And once you build a passion, if you're trying to build a passion for a subject or for a topic, it could be any topic, it need not be related to management. One of the mistakes people talk about when they hear from me about this, or one of the mistakes that people make while interpreting what I'm trying to say here, is that they think that passion should be for management subjects only. No, it's not required. I'll give you a small example. The example is that during my interviews, and I'm talking about two interviews, me and one of my very close friends at IIM Bangalore, who was asked at his IIM Bangalore interview this question, and I was asked at my IIM Calcutta interview. I did not qualify my IIM Calcutta interview. My friend did not qualify, obviously qualified the IIM Bangalore interview. And both of us were asked a question randomly. And the question was, my question was random, his question was not. My question in my interview was, Arun Sharma, do you think that at IIM Calcutta we are teaching history? Do you think that teaching of history is relevant in a management course? Now, as a person who had never thought about reading history, I was a plain school student. जितना स्कूल में सिखाया गया, I was in Maharashtra, तो शिवाजी सिखाया और अकबर सिखाया, and a little bit of the Indian national movement, etc. is what my history exposure was in a formal atmosphere, and never thought about history as a subject that I should actually study or build a passion on. So my immediate answer was कि yes, I think it's important. Obviously, अगर सामने इंटरव्यूअर है, वो तुमसे पूछ रहा है, वो प्रोफ है IIM कैलकाटा का, वो बोल रहा है कि हम लोग हिस्ट्री पढ़ाते हैं अपने कोर्स में, तो तुम नहीं बोलोगे. So I said yes sir, I think it's very relevant. To this he asked me why. So my answer was, because you can learn so much from history. Now this was a typical smart aleck answer without any depth, and while saying that, my body language, my physiology was saying, please move to the next question because I'm not comfortable in this question. So they did move on, but when the results came, they did not select me. And my friend, very close friend of mine, who is a top corporate boss now, who was from IIT Delhi, in his interview, though he was an engineering graduate, IIT graduate, in his interview he was asked this question, who's your role model? And not who is the role model. He had written specifically at the IIM Bangalore interview in the form during those times. They used to ask this question, who's your role model? And for my friend, I'm saying we call him, for my friend, the question was, why do you say that Rommel is your role model, the Second World War general? And his discussion on history was a completely different dimension, a completely different level than what my discussion on history was. So typically what I'm trying to say is that my discussion on history was typically the exchange you would have with the 10th standard kid, whereas this one was a mature discussion about why history is so important in the world. So that's what I try to impress on people. कोई भी पैशन बिल्ड करो, तुम हिस्ट्री, तुम प्रोग्रामिंग करते हो तो प्रोग्रामिंग पे पैशन बिल्ड करो, तुमको इकोनॉमिक्स अच्छा लगता है, इकोनॉमिक्स से पैशन बिल्ड करो. You like history, you like geography, history plus geography mixed together, you like to study those subjects, build a passion on that. You like astronomy, build a passion on that. You like taking care of dogs, build a passion around that. You like playing tennis, build a passion around that. So that if I talk to you, I mean, if I talk to you, or let's say you like cricket, and if I ask you a question, if you can make this the truth, that I ask you this question about cricket and I ask Harsha Bogle the same question on cricket, and the analysis that comes from both of you is equal in terms of this thing because both of you have built it as a passion, then you will not fail many interviews to say. So rather than trying to do haphazard programs, what you do is, I mean, this is in the context of the second and third uh, profile building tools that I've talked about. One was courses, and the second was reading. So don't do these courses and reading haphazard to each other. Do it around a passion. So if you build, let's say computer programming as a passion, you build everything around that passion. Whatever you want to do, whatever reading you want to do, books wise, whatever courses you want to do, you might want to pick up 5, 7, 8 courses so that you get skilled on that. You pick up a passion like history, as I said. You read books around history, and you do courses around history. And today's world, courses, of course, most of the courses are free of cost. And one more question that a lot of people ask me: when I do these courses, do these courses need to be with certificates? The answer is no, because the interviewer is not really bothered at certificates. We all know that certificates can be bought, but knowledge is something that we are looking for in the interview. सर्टिफिकेट के बेसिस पे तुमको सेलेक्ट करना होता है, तो तुमको तुम्हारा बायोडाटा के साथ हम सर्टिफिकेट मंगा के ही इंटरव्यू लेने की जरूरत नहीं होती. सो दैट्स वन ऑफ द रीजंस or one of the things that you need to remember, that get knowledge, get in the pursuit of knowledge. Unfortunately, during our college or school time, we have never been in the pursuit of knowledge for our education. So for a change, do that. And both the second and third parts, whether you're talking about reading or you're talking about courses, they will intertwine with each other, and they'll build your profile, and the passion will be evident both from the reading angle as well as from the courses you've done angle. And when you go into the interview and you present this before the interview, and I see, as an interviewer, I see this, okay, passion for whatever. I see a passion for economics, and I see, okay, reading, I correlate with the reading that you've written. Okay, you read this 20 books, 20 different authors, 15 different authors, 20 different books, and you've done these 5, 7 courses from, let's say, IIM Bangalore and Harvard Business School and whatever, Stanford University. You've done these courses from there. No certificates, but I see that. So I'm pre-primed to ask you questions around that. And if you have done those things, you will not have a problem answering those questions. So this is the second and third points, actually, not just the second one, of what you should do with your reading and your courses, and they have to be intertwined with each other, and they have to build one passion at least. And but if you are a sitting at home student who's not doing any work experience or not doing any college studies, then your passion should be at least one major passion, one minor passion. But if you're in college or if you're working, then I think one major passion also will sail you through every interview you take. Point number 4, and this is the fourth option you have for building your profile, is the most convenient and the easiest one, specifically if you are being offered a job, is to take a work experience. A work experience can be of two kinds. You can have work experience which is at the global level with a multinational corporation or a big brand, even if it's an Indian company, but it's a big brand. You can actually focus on the work experience that you gain by working at that company. That's option one that you have. In case you don't have it, so obviously the best way to build your profile is work experience. There's no replacement to that. And if you can supplement your work experience with one passion, then you have got a double whammy before you enter the interview. If you're working in a big company, plus you've got your profile also with you or your profile built up through one passion on which you have read and you've done courses. So I would be very happy to see your profile. Okay, at the age of 22, 23, 25, this guy is already doing so many things. So he's actually structuring his time, not managing his time. I call it structuring his time much better than what I am seeing other people do. So you already have that this thing. So if you have work experience, you've got two big advantages of work experiences. One is it gives you direct profile points. There are, as you know, there are weightages at the interview stage for how many months of work experience, and there's a linear relationship. Just IIM Bangalore, for example, has 0 to 8 marks for your work experience out of the 100 marks. So if you've got 0 months experience, it's got 0. You got 0 marks going up to 36 months. You get 8 marks, and then it stabilizes at that point. So work experience is giving you direct. The first benefit it gives you is the direct points that it gives you when it comes to the final selection. And the second experience, even at the pre-final selection, after the entrance exam, when they are trying to select you, there is weightage directly for work experience, which will not hurt you at all if you have got it. And the second advantage you have is in the interview, because imagine a student comes to me and he's doing a BA economics, or he's doing his BTech in mechanical engineering, and I am the interviewer. My questions around will typically feature around the subject he's studying. I'll ask him about the subject he's studying because that's what he's supposed to be doing. And maybe if he's got some passion, I'll ask him around that, and maybe the general questions, why does he want to do management, etc. So these things is what I'll ask him in case I come across a student like this. But when I come across a student who's passed out maybe 1 year ago, even 6 months ago, and has been working, specifically the more you have started working, is if I find a student who's worked for 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, so I'm not expecting him to remember so much about his college. So if I ask him a concept that he should have studied in third year college, and he says, sir, I don't remember, it's been some time, so I have to accept that answer. I cannot give him negative marks for not remembering something that he studied two years ago. So I really cannot do that injustice. So what I will be asking him mostly is कि काम में क्या करते थे, and as you know, it's much easier to answer कि काम में क्या करते थे if you have done the work genuinely than answering a question on a subject that you have studied for marks. So this is the best way. Of course, in case you don't have that opportunity of working in a big company and working in a multinational company. So people do ask me this question, sir, I was a school teacher at a school. I was teaching at a primary school for the last 3 years, and I was teaching primary level kids in a rural setting. So will that count? So I always tell people that what will count in the interview will be what you want to make count. So what I mean to say is that if you can explain to yourself ki why you are doing that job, if you can explain to yourself ki what that job is, or what you learned out of that job, and how you took it professionally as seriously, every class that you took in the kindergarten class of a school, professionally you took it as seriously as somebody working for 10 lakh rupees at Wipro. If you can prove that to me in the interview, but the onus of proof will lie on you, because there is a slight question mark in the interviewer's mind when you come in with a local level work experience. तुमने काम किया है कि नहीं? But in 15 minutes, forget 15 minutes, first 5 minutes of questioning on your job, we can make out that तुमने काम किया है कि नहीं. And if you can find out that you have done work and you're proud of the work you do, so I'll have to accept, as an interviewer, I'll have to accept what you're saying and what the argument you're giving me. So that's my take, and that's the fourth point. And one parallel point which I have not mentioned in the slide, but one parallel point that people ask me is what about internships, and specifically college students ask me this a lot. So please remember one thing. I personally believe that during your college time, the internships you do, unless it's an internship which is very very valued and has got some kind of a competitive framework before you got that internship, unless it's something like that, your internships don't count much on your profile. I mean, if I've got two students X and Y and they are the same level on everything else, and Y has an internship and X does not have one, I'm not going to give Y a single point, neither on the profile nor on the interview, because he's done that internship. Because we all know, I mean everybody knows that 95-98% of the internships happening at the college level is actually very frivolous and does not give you much value, and most of the time you are wasting your time doing those internships. And in fact, I personally believe that specifically if you're giving CAT in 22 and you are going for an internship in May, June during your summer vacation months, so that's the best way to waste your time, because if you're in college, your July, August, September will get busy with college work. May, June is the 2 months where you can actually accelerate your CAT prep or your prep for these schools at the end of the year, and you should try to do that. You should focus on doing that rather than spending your time on internships. So do the internships that your college course requires you to do, just as a course completion, this thing. But don't run after internships and don't run after participation certificates, etc. They don't prove anything. They don't give you much in terms of their value. And I'll come back to you soon. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Do like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for CAT courses, for courses on various other competitive exams, do look up the Mindworks website, and do talk to our counselors for any program, any course you're looking for. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.